Well, hi everybody. Thanks for tuning in to my Minecraft Bedrock Survival series. Today's episode is all about nether portals, properly placing, moving, linking, unlinking, breaking, and fixing. So stay tuned. All right, so today we're outside of my little, what we used to consider kind of a mountain, maybe a big hill mansion, and overlooking some crops and the village that we have going over here. We've actually built up quite a bit in this bedrock world. I got a little bit distracted as I transitioned from using controllers to using a keyboard and mouse, and I did that. I started a Java series to really do that, and so I've kind of neglected this series a little bit, and I apologize for that, but we're going to get back to it. What we're going to do is something interesting came up. So Mojang, spit it out. Okay, Mojang has made it so that you no longer have to switch back and forth between beta and regular Minecraft in Bedrock to get some of the snapshots and such that people enjoy in Java. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, of course, make a copy of this world, and once I get to a certain point in this episode, we are going to switch it over to the 1.18 experimental, and we're going to go find a new area and settle down in the big mountains, and we're going to start playing around with some of the big mountain stuff, figuring out some of the fun stuff we can do with that, some of the new things, powdered snow, the goats and all that fun stuff. So, but in order to do that, I was thinking, I want to have access to this area because I have quite a bit of resources built up here. I don't want to get distracted. I want to get right to the fun stuff. So in order to do that, we're still going to draw on these resources, but we're going to have to go kind of far away because I've explored quite a bit in this world so far, as you'll see here. And so we're going to have to go out beyond, I guess that's not too much, but we're going to have to go out beyond this to find a new terrain generation in the 1.18. So in order to make that practical, we're going to link up some nether portals. And when I started thinking about it, I was thinking, boy, there sure is a whole bunch about nether portals, linking and unlinking and moving and, cross-linking and all kind of things can happen if you're not careful. So I wanted to go over a few of the things and explain portals a little more in depth. I did a very short segment on this in a Java series, but this is going to be a little bit more in depth. Now, I want to make one point though: the episode on this in the Java series that I have is still relevant. So as far as portals go, Bedrock and Java are pretty similar. Outside of once in a while they have unique bugs, to each other. But as far as how they work, generally they're kind of simple, but a few weird things happen. So the first concept that you're probably aware of that we have to establish is that there's a difference in traveling distance in the overworld and the nether, and I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times, right? So in the nether, if I travel 1 block, it's the same as traveling 8 blocks in the overworld here, and vice versa. If I travel 8 blocks here, I've only traveled 1 in the nether. So what often happens is when you start adding portals, this may not be such a big deal in a single-player world when you don't have a lot of portals close together. But when you start adding portals, sometimes they get cross-linked, and you go in one portal, you go to the nether, you go back into that portal in nether, and it brings you to a different portal. All kind of weird stuff can happen. So we're going to go over how to fix that and how to avoid that from happening. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at is where your portal is placed. So if we take a look at this portal, so if we're looking down at our feet and we look at our so the number that's moving here is the Z coordinate, so it starts 775, so 76, 77. Okay, so that means that block is going to be on 778. All right, and then this way it starts on 1026, 1025, 1024, all the way over here to 1020, right? All right, so that means this portal basically starts at 1026. The Y level is most of the time not very important. It does have some stuff we'll talk about, but really today we're interested mostly in the X and the Z coordinate. So our X coordinate 1026 and our Z coordinate is 778. And that's where this thing starts, and then it from left to right it goes 1026 down to 1020. Okay, so if we do the math on that, so your 1026 divided by 8, that works out to 128.25. So we can just round that to 128. And then the 778, if you divide that by 8, it is 97.25. So we can just round that to 27. or I'm sorry, to a 97. Now here, an interesting thing happens. And so let's pop in and let's see what happened. Okay, so an interesting thing happens here, right? So based on our dividing by 8, you would have expected this portal to start at 128 and 97. That can be disrupted in the Nether when there are naturally occurring things that make it not a good spot to place the portal. But in this case, this happened to be placed in a pretty flat spot. So that wasn't the case. But look what happens still. Minecraft is kind of funny. So it didn't place it at 128 and 97. It placed it, if we're looking at this, at 113 and 103. And then it kind of goes down to 100 going this way. So in a single player world, when you don't have a lot of portals close together, that discrepancy is no problem, right? You're going to go in and out, back and forth between these two things, no problem at all. But let's say you have more portals nearby in the overworld. There could be a couple of reasons. The main reason would be a multiplayer world where you have a lot of people building houses and they want to put their own portal in their world. So that little discrepancy where this placement doesn't exactly line up with that dividing by 8 can cause cross-linking to occur. And that's when, in the overworld, let's say you go into a portal, and let's say we went into a portal in the overworld, and we come out this one, into the Nether. And then when we go back into this portal, we come out a different portal in the overworld. Now, that could be very, very annoying. And the reason that's happening is because of that little discrepancy. So, if I were to move this portal to for its base to start at a 128 and 97 instead of where it is 138 or 113 and 103. Now that's, it's only 15 blocks away, but remember 15 times 8 in the overworld, so that's a pretty big discrepancy, right? So to make this portal really secure and really locked down so it's never going to cross-link with another portal, what I'd have to do is move it so that its footprint was as close to exact to the division of 8 that we've been talking about as possible. Now, in this case, there's another reason why you might want to move a portal, even in a single player world when you don't have a lot of players involved, and that's the reason I'm going to move this one today. So another reason is security, right? So this happens to have been a fairly safe spawn, right? So I'm in a Crimson Forest. As long as I've got gold on, which I do, and as long as I'm careful of hoglins, I've got pretty good armor and pretty good sword, so they're really not a problem for me. So the hoglins aside, as long as you have gold on, it's really not that bad. If you're near a lava ocean like the one out there, you might have an issue with gas. But overall, as far as Nether portal spawns go, this is pretty safe. However, if I want to travel fast distances and take advantage of the fact that each block in the Nether is 8 in the overworld, I'm going to want to be able to travel easily between this portal and another one. So like if I hop in here and the purpose for that visit that day is simply to go to a faraway place, I don't want to deal with all the dangers that are in the Nether naturally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this portal and I'm going to move it up to about, I don't know, level 110. We'll go up to 110. 110 should be pretty good. And for the most part, you're not going to run into much that high. You might run into a couple small pockets of lava, and occasionally the floor won't exist. So you have to be careful not to fall through, and you just fill those blocks in as you go. So in order to do that, the easiest way is to just pillar up. Now, I don't really have a problem with gas and such, but if I did, what I would always do is just start. I'm just gonna pillar up and put a ladder on this. But what I would do is I would start so that the block that I'm using to pillar up is between me and where the gas would be. So here I have some ladders on me and I have a bunch of blocks, right? So I'm gonna leave the ladder off the bottom one because we don't want hostile mobs climbing ladders after us, and they can't figure this out. So if you have to jump to get to the ladder, then they can't figure that out. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and pillar up to the ceiling. Now, I also want to mention, if there was a lot of issues with gas and such along, you might want to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to close this as well, but I'm in a pretty safe spot. But if you weren't in a very safe spot, what you'd want to be doing is, as you're building this up, you'd want to be going ahead and surrounding yourself as well. So something like that. Let me restore so I have a step way up there. Okay, so now, as I'm going up, I'm going ahead and I'm closing myself in. Should I peek up here to place some blocks and a gas were to appear, I would simply just drop down into here and I'd be pretty safe except for directly above me. Now that's possible, they could be there. I've never had that happen, and I wonder if the ladder would obstruct its view because the ladder is technically occupying a space, so I don't know, we'd have to test that, but this is pretty safe. So you would just pillar yourself up here all around to keep yourself protected. You could do this with glass too. You know, the gas can't see through the glass, so once you get the glass placed and you're behind it, you'll be good. Now, if you're up here and they see you before you duck down, they might shoot and break that glass. These they're not going to break. So you worst case scenario doing it with these, you could take a hit. But if you got some decent armor on, you're not going to die. So again, if you were in a real hostile area, what you might do is do it with these bricks, and then once you get this all done, then you can break these out one at a time and replace them with glass blocks, and that's a really safe way of getting a nice glass tunnel without a whole lot of risk. Okay, so now we're getting into a little bit of a risky situation here, and that's because now I don't see any lava dripping through here. A lot of times if there was lava directly above this block, there'd be a little dripping lava. There's none of that happening, so we should be in pretty good shape here. But this is a little bit risky. So at 101, we want to go up to, I don't know what I say, about 110, and so we want to go up a ways still, and so we're going to have to dig a little bit into this, so we're going to be careful. Now, you do have some protection, because if there was lava right there, it would stop right there because the ladder would stop it. So it's not completely dangerous, but now at some point, if I want to continue these surrounds, and I would recommend at least the bottom level, the first layer you go in, replacing these with stone, because again, if something were to happen from below and you were to get blown up or something like that, it could break the netherrack fairly easily. The stone, it's not going to break. Once we get into the it's completely enclosed, it's up to you. I still like to do it, and just keep your eyes open for dripping lava. Okay, so here we are standing on level 110, so I'll go ahead and place these last few blocks to finish my tunnel, and then we'll be up at 110, safe and sound, and we can, with relative safety here, we'll be able to navigate pretty quickly around the nether. Now, usually what I'll do here is I'll go up one more block. Well, I gotta dig out a little bit above my head. Okay, so I find it easier to get on the ladder if it comes out of the tunnel by one block. There you go. So now as soon as I break these blocks out around me here, we'll be in good shape. Okay, now once you get up here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to clear yourself a nice little room. This is going to be my main nether hub eventually, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the portal that's down there and place it up here. But this time, I'm not going to place it exactly where that one was as far as X and Z. I'm going to place it where it should be based on where my portal is in the overworld and dividing those coordinates by 8. So I want to place it at 113 and 103, right? So we're pretty close. Let's see which way. 113. Okay, so we got to go this way a little bit. And for today, I'm not going to worry so much about making this room look good. This is about function today. Design will be another episode, and we can have a lot of fun with that design. Okay, so I'm going to make all the floors something other than netherrack eventually here, but for ease of breaking stuff and everything, we're just going to leave it netherrack for today because we're not really doing anything too dangerous up here. But you always want to be careful with netherrack because, you know, it breaks so easily. Now, the other thing we're doing, we're in a crimson forest, so we're going to want, I'm not going to worry about this today, but we're going to want to spawn proof this, right? Because we don't, you know, even if we have gold on and the piglins aren't messing with us, it's still a hassle because, you know, hoglins could spawn in here as well. The last thing you want to do is come in to your nether portal and spawn right into a room full of hoglins, so that'll be no fun. I'm going to fix that fairly quickly, but for today's purposes, like I said, we're not going to worry about it. So just next time I come in, I'm going to be careful when I come in and see what I'm walking into. But again, I've got pretty good weapons and pretty good armor, so I'm not all that worried about it. But okay, so we're going to have to get to 113 and then 103. So let's find that. So 113 and 103 is just a little bit this way. Gonna go a little bit higher. Our portal is going to take up a little bit of height. And you see those little particles floating around. In the Crimson Forest, it can be a little tricky because they're kind of red, so you can mistake those for lava. But those are all just red particles because we're in the Crimson Forest. But definitely when you're doing this, look out for dripping lava. That'll be a little heads up, because you know it runs quite a bit faster in the Nether. Okay, so now, our starting block, 113 and 103. So that's what we're going to find. And that's this block right here. Okay, so I'm going to... actually, I'm going to place the obsidian. Oh, I didn't bring the obsidian with me. Okay, so I'll have to go get that. So this is going to be where our starting block is. 113, 103. So let's go grab some obsidian real quick. That was an oversight on my part. Okie dokie, so here we are. I've grabbed some obsidian. Let's go up to where we're going to relocate this portal. Actually, you know what? I'm going to break this portal. Now, you might have noticed I have a lodestone here. I'm going to leave the lodestone here. Here's why. When I'm up there, this is going to be another highway system, so navigation is not going to be that much of a challenge. But even if I was depending on the lodestone really works, it works by a compass, right? So the compass doesn't give you the Y coordinates anyway, so it doesn't matter that it's here. Now, even though because this didn't exactly line up with the division by 8 rule, we're going to place this in a slightly different spot up there. It's very close. So what's going to happen is if I'm running around the Nether and I'm relying on this lodestone and a compass to find this is the location I'm going to be looking for anyway, because make sure that gate's closed. He can't get in here. Because I'm going to be looking to get into this gate so I can go up this ladder and get to my portal. So the lodestone can stay there. I'm just going to break this portal here real quick. Oh, you know what? Did I bring... Silly me, do I have a flint and steel? I do have flint and steel on me. Good. So always, that's another thing. You probably had this drilled into your head. Always keep a flint and steel at your portals, because if it gets broken, you can get out without dying, but it involves going out and collecting a bunch of stuff and making I forget what it's called, that thing that shoots fire or whatever. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna come up here back into our room. And this is our starting block. Okay, now again, I'm building this right on the floor because I'm going to put a slab floor in here, and that'll keep things from spawning. So it'll be a nice, easy step in once I put the slab floor around this. Okay, so it started at 113, 103, and then the coordinates we want to go is 103, 102, 101. So we got to figure out which direction that is, because that's the wrong way. Okay, 102. There you go. Boop. Okay, so there's our minimum portal size. Now, as long as I have this, I can still make this portal as big as I want. But because this lines up with the location of the blocks in the overworld divided by 8, this thing is locked in real tight. I could build another portal in the overworld really close to my existing portal, and as long as I put a corresponding portal up here that's divided by 8 of that new portal, these two won't cross-link. So that's a really good thing to keep in mind, because the cross-linking of portals can be very frustrating, and you just want to avoid it, and it's easy to avoid if you just remember to divide those things by 8. If any of this isn't clear, if you post specific questions in the comments, I will answer them. So feel free to do that, and I will answer your questions for you. But this stuff, because sometimes different people hear and learn things differently, and if I explain it in a way that isn't completely clear to you, don't hesitate to ask, because this is really one of those things that can make a big difference in the quality of your play, because these are very handy to have and make it easy to get around really fast, but they can be extremely frustrating when things are going wrong and you don't know why. Okay, there you go. So we'll dig the rest of it out later. This is enough. We should be able to light it. Another tip, I know that it was a bug for a while. If you lit your portals on the side, it would cause problems. So I've just gotten a habit of lighting them from the bottom anyway. So now this should bring us back to the portal we came from in the overworld now. Yeah, and it does. And so this portal and that portal way up high are linked. Now, before I said that the Y coordinate doesn't usually matter that much, but it does have an influence. If you noticed, that portal, that original spawn in the Nether was at level, let's see, what was it? It was like level 81, and that's pretty high for another portal. So the elevation that you build your portal in the overworld does appear to have some influence on the Y level in the Nether. So now when I go through this, it'll bring me to the new portal and not the old portal. Okay, there you go. So we got a big old room to build out here. But for now, we've got a heck of a portal here. Okay, so now the whole reason for all this today was because we're going to go ahead and get into some 1.18 content. So in order to do that, we're going to have to switch into the experimental mode. So let's hop back into the overworld, because what's going to happen is I've scouted out a location I'm going to go to that's got a mountain, and it's like 4,000, 5,000 blocks away. So I don't want to, I'm going to have to go there on foot in the overworld the first time. But once I get there, I want to build a portal there, and then I want to build a hallway, because that 4,000 blocks in the overworld is only like 500 blocks here in the Nether. So you can see the advantage. So for now, this is fine. Once I figure out where that portal is going to be, I'll put it up real high in the in the Nether, just like this at level 110. And then all I got to do is build a hallway over there. And there's only a few things really that can get in your way, and then we'll make it a nice highway. And so we'll be able to go that 4,000 or 5,000 blocks in a matter of a few seconds. So that'll be very handy. So let's go back to the overworld. Okay, so now, before you do this, you're going to want to back up your world. Now, as part of the process, and it's night, so I'm going to sleep. As part of the process, what Minecraft has done is, you'll see this when I turn the switch to do the 1.18 experimental, it's going to automatically generate a backup. But in case something goes weird with that, I'm going to go ahead and make my own backup anyway. So we'll go to settings. Actually, we need to save and quit. So that's my world. Go into the edit page, come on down, copy world. Okay, so there's a copy of it. Now I'm going to change the name of that. So this, I'm going to call it, because I think the Bedrock or Minecraft is going to make a copy of that says something like copy of. So I'm going to change this to backup. So then I'll know that this world right here is the backup version of what I've done to date in my Dadzillosaur world. Okay, so now if I go into the Dadzillosaur survival world, and I go into here and I scroll down, all you have to do is turn on caves and cliffs. Now it's going to give you a little warning here. Be careful, you're about to activate this stuff. You know, could go wrong. This is not even like a you know, in Java they call it something different. But this is not even like, you know, a pre-release or anything like that. This is still an experimental stage, so all kind of stuff could go wrong. All right, so yeah, so it created a world that says copy of Dadzillosaur survival experimental. Okay, so that's fine. So we're going to go ahead. That's what we're going to use for this. And then if anything goes terribly, horribly wrong, we still have our world backed up. Okay, so here we are. Everything looks great so far. Now, so I'm going to go ahead and I put a project chest down here of got stuff in it. Oh, you know what? I have to put this flint and steel back. I'll put it in the chest that I keep right over here so that I can remember to put it back next time. Okay, and for the sake of time, I'm just going to throw this netherrack in here. We don't need it. And, well, I got some obsidian in my other chest, but I'll bring that obsidian as well. And my diamond helmet. Okay, so I have a project chest. So it's just some things I'm going to bring with me on the trip. Okay, so I have this chest here, and I put a few things in here, mainly some wood, just as a shortcut. So I'm just going to build the initial location, and of course we're going to bring in flint and steel so we can light a portal. The initial location, I'm just going to build it at the base of the mountain, because I just want to get the portal in there and reinforce what we just did. And then we're going to put another portal high up on the mountain somewhere. So then we'll be able to practice what we preached. And that probably won't be this episode, but I'll be able to have the portal down in the little shack at the base of this mountain. Will be a few hundred blocks away from the portal in the mountain, which if if you're not doing the location, relocating your nether portal as a division of 8, there could be some cross-linking going on, which could be very annoying. Okay, so now we've got like 4,000 or 5,000 blocks to travel. I've got a stack of beef that really probably will be enough, but since I have open slots, I'm going to bring more food. Would hate to run out of food. Have plenty of beef here. If you've watched any of the previous episodes, you see we got quite a system going down here. It's a good system to follow, and so we're gonna go ahead and run. I'm not gonna bring any of these maps with me because we're gonna make new maps for the area when we get there. So now we just got to get there. So I'm gonna go ahead and run over to the new location, and I'll pop back in as soon as I get there. Alright, so I thought I'd pop in real quick here. That's where we're headed. And you know, silly me, I have a spyglass. Or no, I don't have a spyglass in this world yet, so that's why I didn't bring one. I was thinking I should have brought my spyglass. That's the mountain we're headed to. It's pretty tall. The peak, and it's one of those mountains with the, you know, the snow and the ice on it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty big. You can't see all of it from here, but the peak is at block 230, so it's pretty much up there. We just came through a Badlands, aka Mesa, and we got a desert. So there's several biomes around here, so it's a pretty cool location. So we're almost there, and I'll pop back in as soon as we get there. That's another great shot of the mountain as we're working our way through these smaller mountains and smaller hills and mountains to get to the big one. You can kind of see the peak of it there. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm swimming almost to my destination, and I just got hit with mining fatigue because there's a ocean monument right there. So that's pretty cool. We can have some fun with that. Okay, so here we are. This is the place I picked to just build a little shack here. We're going to build a proper mountain base over on one of these peaks here, but we need a little remote place where we can gather resources for building and stuff up there. But check this out too. I mean, that's just beautiful. I mean, this new generation, the Minecraft 1.18 generation, unbelievable. As you can see, you've got lots of what I'm assuming is packed ice up there. And like I said, that peak up there goes up to 230. We're overlooking a valley. There's a flower forest. Well, it may not be called that here. Some of the biomes are. There's going to be some new biomes as well. And but at any rate, there's what looks like a flower forest on the hillside over there. There's a few villages off in the distance. Pillager Tower as well I saw on my way up here. But here, check this out. So here's one way that I was not prepared. Look what we're running into here. I had to dig these couple blocks out. So we've got some powdered snow now, and some of it's quite deep, and I didn't bring any leather armor, and particularly leather boots, because if I had leather boots, yeah, so you start to take damage from that. You can see the frost effect all around my screen. It's pretty cool. Luckily, that's only one block deep there, but when you get up on the hill, sometimes that can be several blocks deep, and if you're not prepared, you could find yourself in trouble and taking quite a bit of damage. If you find yourself unprepared and you're hitting this, one strategy is, especially when it's not too deep, is simply break the block you're in, and that's an easy way to get out of trouble when it's only one block deep. But if you can fall into a pocket that's 4 or 5 blocks deep and there's several around you, that I'm not sure. I haven't experimented with it that much yet to see. Here's some regular snow to see if you're going to be able to dig your way out before you freeze. So at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and place a portal right here, and then we're going to place a more permanent portal up there, but I'm just going to place it right over here, and I think I'm going to take one layer off of this to give myself a little bit more room and build a little shack here and put a portal in it. Okay, so this is going to be the footprint of my little shack. Shack itself is not all that important right now. We want to get this, so we ran from coordinates roughly like 1,000 by 600 or something like that to 5274 and 2200. So that's like over 4,000 blocks in one direction, and then about 1,500 blocks in another. So that's over 5,000 blocks we ran. That's a long way to get back to our main base. So we don't want to deal with that. So let's go ahead and light this portal up, and hopefully we get a spawn that's not too bad, and maybe it'll be high up because we're at level 125. So okay. And I already fell. Okay, great. So that's okay. We're not gonna stay here. We're gonna move this thing up. But I could see how maybe ghasts could be around this area, so we're going to go ahead and build ourselves a little shield around this so that it doesn't get blown up on us. And yeah, it looks like they could come from either direction. And I do have my gold helmet on, so it's okay that we're in this this biome. But we're going to go ahead and box ourselves out, give ourselves a little safe zone here. And we're just going to go straight up. So we spawned at level 58. We got to go up to, I believe it was 110. So again, really, gas could be over there or over there. So I'm going to start the ladder. This is pretty tight, but that's okay. This portal's going to go away. Okay, and this is a situation where I am concerned that at any moment a gas could pop out. So I'm going to go ahead and do the old surround as I go. That'll keep me nice and safe. Let me take my shield out of my hand here because that's blocking my line of vision and yours as well. Alright, so I don't know if I brought enough stone with me to do the entire surround. So I've not seen or heard any gas yet, so I'm going to try just to build straight up and come back with enough stone. And we'll see if we get lucky or if some gas come out on the way. I do have Feather Falling 4, but at some point that's not going to save me if I get knocked off of this thing. Okay, so here we are at the just about at the roof. I'm not seeing any lava particles. We're at 106. We don't have that much farther to go. Okay, so we gotta be careful. So 110 at this part, and I'm thinking that was the number we did by the other one. I guess I should have wrote it down. 110 is pretty thin here. Not a lot of floor left before we break out into open space. So we probably want to do, especially when the floor is that thin, we want to replace that with stone for sure, because if a gas were to come along and take a shot at us, that might not end up too well for us. Okay, so we want to break ourselves out a little room here, just like we did at the other place. And then we're going to go down, we got to go back to the overworld, because I forgot to take note of what the actual coordinates were of the portal that I placed there. So we can do our little math and make sure we place it in exactly the right spot, and then we'll have no problems making sure that's linked up nice and tight. Okay, so let's jump down. Let's go back to our little starter cabin and grab those coordinates and maybe some more stone and figure out where we're going to build our portal up here. Okay, good news, not seeing any gas around this area. So hopefully our luck holds up until I can get this surround done. So again, I want to go ahead and take these coordinates down. So that's going to be 5279. We already know we're building at 110, so we don't care about the Y value. And then we got to figure out the Z value. Negative 2202 to negative 2198. Okay, so starting at 5279. 5279 divided by 8 is 659.875. So we're just going to round that up to 660. All right, and then negative, you can ignore the negative and then apply it at the end, or you can plug it into your calculator that it's a negative number. So you got negative 2202 divided by 8 is negative 275.25. So we'll round that to just negative 275, and then the numbers go down from there. Go down 4 numbers. So you got negative 275, 274, 273, 272. So that's where we're gonna put our blocks, our obsidian. Before I jump back in, I'm gonna mine up some more stone so we can finish our nice safe surround. I started mining out a little bit over here, just in a little pocket, and we'll mine up some more so we have enough stone to do our tower correctly. Alright, got about 3.5 stacks of stone. That'll probably do it. Let's go ahead and hop back in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to break this portal. There you go. And we'll go ahead and head on up. And we'll build our tower up the rest of the way, unless I hear a ghast, and then we'll figure out what to do from there. Okay, so here we are up here. Now we got to make ourselves, on our way over to 660 and minus 275. So that's pretty nearby. All right, so there's 270 minus 275, and then we get to 660. And it looks like we broke into a small pocket over here, and you always got to be careful because you never know when there's going to be a drop out in the floor. So this is also more space that things could spawn, so I'll probably block that off for now, but I just want to get our portal in. Okay, so here we are at 660 and 275. And that's where our first obsidian block is going to go. And I think on this one, I'm just going to make a normal sized portal. And then we need to go minus 274. Yeah, so it's going to go this way. So we got to break out a little bit more room over here. Minus 74, 73, 72. So from minus 275 to minus 272, and it's on 660. That is exactly the footprint where the portal is in our shack down there in the overworld, and divided by 8. And so that's going to be linked up perfectly. So even if I make another portal nearby, we shouldn't have any cross-linking issues. And again, I find this interesting that even though everything is divided by 8, they put the portal that spawned in the Nether over here, when really the math says it should go over here. Now, I did again, this is where the Y coordinate came in. I did start that portal all the way up at level 125, so 124 or 125, so that it was trying to put it up high, and the only thing it could find in the general vicinity was on top of that Crimson Forest tree. So the more treacherous the terrain is for Minecraft, the farther away from being a perfect placement it is. But up here we have the flexibility to put it wherever we want it, so we've got the math exactly right, and this is going to be a nice solid portal that shouldn't have any problems. So I'm just going to make a standard size one, so we'll go up 3 more. Alright, this should take us right down to our shack. Yeah, here we are at our shack. Perfect. Okay, and this will be interesting because we're at cloud level, so if I remember correctly, the clouds are going to come right through the house that I build right here. So when we build up in the mountains, we're going to build up higher, so we are above the clouds. Okay, we got the clouds coming in on us right now. All right, let's jump back in for a moment. I'm going to close off this hallway for now. The idea being that a little less chance for hoglins to welcome me when I spawn in here. Now, let me jump down here for a minute. We really won't be down there too much, but it really is not a waste of effort because now, whenever we want to explore the Nether here, we've got a good path. We'll once I get a slab floor in there, and make it look real pretty, we'll have a nice safe spot where we're going to spawn in. I'll remove the rest of this obsidian, and we'll make a nice path from here. I'll probably just extend this ladder down to the actual ground, and then we'll be able to jump right into our Crimson Forest and grab resources. So even though, because we landed on top of a crimson tree, this was kind of a really tight box here. But normally when you even when you build a safe box around it just so you can get started and you build this, that safe box wasn't a waste, because when you come down from above, you're still going to land in a nice safe spot. And you can put some chests there and all that, and so it's worthwhile. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna dig our tunnel back to the portal over at our main base that's up this high as well, and it's only gonna end up being a few hundred blocks now. I think maybe 500 or 600, because we need to go, yeah, so we're at 676, we need to go to 113. We're at minus 272, we need to go to 170 or to 103. So we've got about 500 blocks to go in one direction and 300 or 400 blocks to go in the other. So it's under 1,000 blocks we're going to have to go, as opposed to 5,000 or 6,000 blocks in the overworld. Plus we can make this a nice highway and it'll be very quick. So I'm just going to go ahead and start digging. We just got to pick it. It doesn't really matter if we head towards the X or the Z coordinate first. Really just what's convenient for us. So we need the number to be going down. So this is a nice big pocket in this direction. And numbers going up. There we go, numbers going down this way. Okay, so we gotta head this way. So we're just gonna start digging this way. We're gonna dig a tunnel. Right now I'm just gonna make it a fairly narrow tunnel, and I'm just gonna be careful not to break out the floor underneath me. One good way to do that is just to crouch while you're digging. That way, because I tell you what, digging these long netherrack tunnels, man, it can be hard to tell when you've broken out a block and you're looking down into the abyss. So if you just keep crouch on, yeah, you'll go a little bit slower, but even if you do break one out and you don't see it, you'll stop, you won't fall off the edge. So we're gonna head this way to block 113. Okay, so here you can see I'm breaking out into what looks like is a extended stretch for a little bit where the ceiling, there is no floor at this height. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go up about 8 or 10 blocks and then continue this way, and that way I don't have to build myself a platform here that I might get blown up by a gas from below. This is a lot easier than trying to deal with building a bridge. There's no reason to build a bridge at this point. The only time we're likely to be running in this area this high is when we're trying to get from one portal to the other at any rate, so we are not going to sweat it. Alright, so I think I'll go to maybe one more, 117. That ought to be a pretty good height. And we should be in good shape now. Okay, so we've reached block 113 and it's time to make our corner. And so we're going to head this way and we're going to go to 103. That's where the other portal is. So those numbers need to get smaller till they reach 0, then they'll go up. So it's about 300 blocks. Whenever I get to a corner like this, I always place some stones like this. That way when I'm coming from this direction, I can kind of see that turn coming, and when I'm coming from this direction, I can see that turn coming. If it ends up being a 4-way, then I break out a slightly bigger room and put markers on the corners. So now we're going to go ahead and go this way till we get to level 103, and right about when we get there, we will run into the portal that brings us back to our main base. Alright, so we're getting pretty close. I'm going to start stepping it down back to, let's see, what was that level? 110, I think it was. Yeah, so we got to go down about 7 blocks. And we just got to be careful that we're doing it in a way where we're not going to, you know, fall through the floor. So I will start marking it with stone so I can see it. Okay, back at 110, so we're pretty close to 103, so we ought to be getting there any moment now. And there we go. Alright. Shazam! Alright, so that's our main portal, and that gets us back to our main base, and we just run down this hallway, and we get to the mountain base, which is now much closer. I'm going to set a timer, and I'm going to see how long it takes me to run this. Alright, so it took me 2 minutes and 49 seconds to make that run, which is, you know, a considerable amount of time. However, compared to the amount of time it took me to get from the main base to here in the overworld, yeah, less than 3 minutes is nothing at all. Alright, so let's go ahead and pop back down to our where our cabin's going to be. We always seem to pop out at night. I love that snow in the mountains. That is so cool. Love that snow effect in the mountains. Oh, that is just gorgeous. Oh yeah, one time when I wish the weather didn't clear. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for this episode. The cabin I built is going to be, I won't do that on camera just because it's going to be super basic cabin. You'll be able to tell what I did just by looking at it, no problem. And but this is going to be a cool base, and now that we have these nether portals linked up properly, I don't have to worry about if I place another one nearby, are they going to get you know, cross-linked? You know, none of that. They're always going to work perfectly because they're done mathematically and they're very tightly locked in. But this is a beautiful terrain. Can't wait to get up there and show you the view from up there. It's just beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to experiencing some of this new 1.18 content, as experimental as it may be. And that was a lot of fun. Alright guys, I think that's going to do it this time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please drop a like and consider subscribing to my channel. Would helps to keep me making content like this, and I hope you did find this helpful. And again, if you had any questions, if I didn't make sense on the math, just leave it in the comments. I will answer your questions to the best of my ability, and I hope that I am helping you out and tightening up your issues with your nether portals. Alright, thanks so much. Till next time, bye-bye.